What is the purpose of zoos today and should they exist?
Why do you still serve beef and dairy products at the zoo? Shouldn't you be vegan?
Should we let nature take its course and let some species die out?
We're good? Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the hot seat.
Hey, Rick.
Which species are most at risk of extinction due to climate change?
No species is safe from the impacts of climate change, put bluntly.
As it gets hotter, drier, wetter, as the climate changes, many species are not adaptable enough to change to that changing environment.
A lot of the species that are most at risk are the ones that are in those marginal habitats. So, for example, our alpine region.
So there's quite a few species that we work with at the zoo that rely on snow cover and snowfall. So bawble frog are a big one, mountain pygmy possums, the alpine skink species. They require the snow to either help insulate, to help with food, help with internal regulation as well during the colder periods. So if there's no snow, species that rely on it are going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble.
It also impacts not only the species that we're particularly passionate about and committed to, but it impacts human livelihoods as well. And we saw firsthand the impact of climate change in the Black Summer bushfires. And that, that was, I think, a bit of a reality check for a lot of us, because you could smell the smoke here in Melbourne, even though the fires were so far away. We saw firsthand the devastation and the impact on wildlife and human communities.
There were many animals where almost their entire range was burnt during those fires. If that happens where there's only a small population in one localized area, we could lose a species entirely in a single climate change related event.
Yeah? Next one.
All right.
How do we get through to the non-believers of climate change?
To be honest, I don't think we should even be listening to the non-believers of climate change and just get on with it. We're already too late.
It's a really, really small minority these days. I think when we unpack, the population stats and attitudes toward climate change and what's happening, it's a small fraction of people that are still unconvinced.
We know that the changing climate is the biggest single risk to animals surviving on the planet. But are we prepared to change our lifestyles? Have we already made the steps we take? And so we spend a lot of time arguing about whether or not there's a problem, when I think we should all be just getting on with it and doing the steps that make a difference.
We're a science-based organisation. We are big believers and advocates in following what the experts and the evidence is telling us. And it's without question that the science is telling us that it is a human-driven threat, and it is something that is therefore within our control as an impactful species to then mitigate this threat and change our behaviours.
At Zoos Victoria, we are committed to doing everything in our power to reduce our carbon emissions. We've been carbon neutral since 2012. We've reduced our carbon emissions by 72%, and we're not done yet. We're going to continue to be a net carbon neutral organisation.
Feeling all serious.
What is the zoo doing for animals and their habitat to protect them from climate change? So this one's a bit of a broad one, I guess.
Our focus is obviously very much on our Victorian species.
We do look at how we can potentially reintroduce or translocate animals under a changing climate. So we can forecast ahead, 5, 10, 20 years to see what we think the weather will be doing, and then look at bits of habitat that might be more optimal for animals under a hotter, drier climate.
I think we can all probably agree that there's likely going to be more of those sort of emergency events like our bushfires, and so we're really gearing up to being ready for those catastrophic events and to identify species that are most at risk and where we can be and what we need to do to prevent extinction in those areas.
Ultimately, some animals that rely on alpine areas, it's likely that those sort of habitats just won't be around.
Why do you still serve beef and dairy products at the zoos if you're serious about climate change? Shouldn't you be vegan? Well, I am vegetarian. I'm not entirely vegan as part of the longer journey I think we're all on. And what we really want to do is help inform people and let them make informed choices.
We want to do slow and steady, make sure that we're making informed evidence-based decisions around supporting actions and what we can do as a community.
What we're doing is increasing our vegetarian offers. We have more and more absolutely amazing vegetarian food, and we'd love you to start exploring that while you're here at the zoo. So watch the space, it's not over yet.
How'd you find that?
Yeah, it was fine. I was probably ranting a little bit.
Happy with that?
Yeah, I guess so. I can't remember what the dribble was, so.
I reckon there's just one guy flying his plane.
Good questions. I like the way people were thinking. Like it's bringing up interesting things to consider.